Stop right there. Put that to-do list down. Close the open tabs and come join us. We've got the best seat in the house ready for you. And honestly, you're the only person we wanted to see today. I'm Coach Doris, and we've got the Better You team. Coaches, are we ready to make it worth the focus?
You bet.
Absolutely.
So, coaches, why do so many women feel empty or restless, even when on paper their life looks perfect?
It could stem from societal expectations, like living from shoulds instead of living from your authentic self. But it could also be, what once fit no longer fits anymore, right? And just tapping into that and getting past that fear of what that change is going to look like.
Getting into what's meaningful and what was meaningful to us, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, even 5 years ago, may not be so meaningful to us today. And sometimes as life shifts and evolves for us, we can't access those things that were meaningful for us before. Or maybe we feel that we fulfilled that particular thing. And now, what do we do now?
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go now? And actually, there are quite a few supports out there now, and quite a few people looking at, because we're living longer and we're having more time to transition into new roles and new experiences. We want to know what's going to be meaningful for us. And so feeling empty, I think, is our internal cup is not full. We might be leading the perfect life, the dinner parties, the nice home, the whatever it is that you dreamed of having, the career, the husband, the kids, everybody's, everything's just like you imagined it would be, except in here.
Yeah.
I think sometimes too, it's feeling like I have so much already.
Mm-hmm.
I have enough. Why do I want more? Right? Why do I need more? Why do I deserve more?
And then the guilt because you shouldn't feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. I've got everything I'm supposed to have, right? Why aren't I happy? But then shifting into, I think we're talking about it in past episodes, but understanding that, midlife and beyond can be this great opportunity for transformation and possibilities, right? And really starting to focus on that more. I think, that can help to kind of get out of that and be self-aware where you're at, but realize, hey, there are opportunities. I can make changes, right? It's not too late.
I love that. And I know for me, for me it first hit when my kids were in middle school, like the youngest was in middle school, because all of a sudden they didn't need me nearly as much as they used to, right? And I had wrapped my entire self-worth in being needed by them, in being their mother, at everything. I was a stay-at-home mom. I was the volunteer at the kids' programs. I was all of those things, and I loved it. But now they didn't need me quite the same way. And all of a sudden, it was a little bit of an identity crisis, right? Like, who am I when my kids don't need me as much? Because it's not going to get better. They're not going to need me more. Who am I now? And I think that was huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think when you're being that competent, you think that we have to do a lot, that over functioning, meaning that we're doing repeating or we're doing a lot more, being more functioned. And we treat that as a strength. So I believe that overfunctioning is not a strength. Um, and competence, I think it comes from um, overfunctioning. It comes from, I would say that unmanaged competence. So when it's not frequently managed, that's why we call overfunctioning. I think that's where I see the difference. And it is something, if you're if you are being overfunctioned, you are actually overlooking so many other things good that you need to be um sorry, let me just rephrase that. So if you're overfunctioning, you're actually avoiding or overlooking that if you would have intentional, you would have looked into those areas. So you're overlooking the maybe most important things or important things, right? Um, and when you're over functioning, you're thinking of your strength as how good am I? How am I showing up to the crowd? How am I being present? And you're being present, being doing so many things, um, which is not always resulting in a good way. You're just being hyperfunctioned or overfunctioned. So I would say at that point, if you're if you catch yourself being overfunctioning, at that point you ask yourself this question that who am I really if I stop being that overfunctioned person?
So with that being said, what is this if we all agree that it has something to do with what we've created as an identity, then what is the smallest identity experiment that someone could try this week? Not to completely reinvent themselves because it takes a lot longer to do that, but just to start feeling like themselves again.
I think, you can tap into something that you used to love to do for starters, like maybe, you used to like karaoke or or dancing or, knitting or whatever it is. But conversely, maybe you want to try something new, like what's something you've always wanted to try and just start small there and then build from there, right? So like you said, it's an identity shift. So finding out who you are now and who you're becoming and what's that going to
Yeah.
look like, taking those small steps.
Yeah, it's really about where do I wanna go with this? And I think for me, that was the hardest, thing to do. It's like, I don't wanna go back there, so now who am I and what am I? And, I had to really look into my heart and find something that I loved, not liked, not what that it was okay, right? Something that I loved. And, I was lucky enough to find a couple of things that I love, and I could do it on my own as my own boss, so I can make the choices. And, some people might not like that. They might wanna go to a completely different career, or, they might wanna go travel, or who knows what that is. But as long as you are passionate about it and it feels really good in your heart, go do it. But think about those things first, and what can you do first? What can you do second? What can you do third to change that? Start with something little and then move to something bigger. And, you'll find it's in my experience, it's life-changing, really.
I think I'm there now. I dip in and out of that place where I'm like, okay, I want to do something more. I want to do something different. And I dip my toe in and you know, maybe it's about the writing. This experience has been an amazing experience and so enjoyable. Um, you know, studying different aspects of mental health, that sounds really boring, but it isn't for me. It's really exciting. So or I'll hear about something, or a client will tell me about something, and I'll go, "Oh, that's really cool," and I'll write it down, and then it's our chance and our opportunity to to experiment with new things, find out if those things that used to give us joy still can offer us that, and get into doing new things. And hopefully along the way we find our confidence. And because we do at this stage have the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom that we can take into um, other spaces and share with other people, and kind of dig into life, like the traveling, or all those things. Um, yeah, it is the opportunity that we have now.
Yeah, I love all of these things, and I love the idea of approaching it like an experiment or like an adventure of, saying, and just because you try something doesn't mean you have to stick with it for the rest of your life or anything. Try it, see if you like it. It's kinda like, I wanna say the movie My Best Friend's Wedding. No, Runaway Bride. That was the one with Julia Roberts, where she would run away from all of her like, she's left so many people at the altar and stuff, and she didn't know how she liked her own eggs, right? And it was just a decision. Okay, well, then she found someone where they laid out a whole bunch of different ways that you could have eggs so that she could figure out, how does she like her eggs, or does she even like eggs, right? So it's kind of the same idea of looking at even things in your everyday life. Well, do you like doing it that way? Yes or no? And it's okay to be either way. Like, there's no judgment. And that's the tricky part. Like you were saying earlier, Joyce, about the guilt, right? It's the tricky part is not putting the judgment on yourself. It's okay if you don't. It's okay if you do, right? And just experimenting, I think, is fantastic.
Yeah, and not listening to what other people are saying. Find your true passion, right? That's the key. Because if what other people are telling me is go find a job, and I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to work for anybody else. No, no, no. And I'm super glad I didn't listen to them. I can tell you that right now.
Because you listened to what you needed from the inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's true that we don't always have those options, but whenever those opportunities to come up can come into our lives, to snatch them, take those chances, even if they're small ones.
The thought of opening yourself up to an opportunity will
Yeah.
make you see it more likely than if you're closed off completely, then you may not even see an opportunity that's right in front of you.
And, a question of like, how are you going to feel like yourself again? Well, maybe it's going to be completely different now because you're going through a transition. Like we're all becoming, we're all evolving, right? And so understanding that we all go through identity shifts throughout our lifetime, and it can be exciting. Depends on how we're looking at it, right?
And for the person sitting with us right now, maybe they don't even have a big dream. How would they build a sense of purpose without forcing motivation?
It's really just taking some time, and stepping back, being in a place that I love, like our cottage, and just being able to sort of like take it all in, um, and understand what I'm going through, I guess was part of it, and transitioning to what I love. So, knowing right off the hop, that I'm not going back to work for somebody else ever, really, unless I choose to, and that relationship has to be really good, and, deciding that, I wanted to become a coach because that's what I wanted to do, and just taking that step back and going, "It's okay." And knowing and understanding that that's what I was supposed to do and taking little actions every day to get to those pieces was what I needed to do. And, that's what seems to work, and meeting all of you, of course.
I have to agree. And I'm hearing, first of all, our purpose does not need to be necessarily external. So when people talk about purpose, somehow it, I think, often gets mixed up with the idea of productivity. What is my purpose? Well, I need to be productive. I need to be useful. And we have to take a step back from that, recognize the exhaustion, allow time to normalize that after you've been doing this for years and years and years, the constant wheel of making decisions and solving problems and, meeting the expectations of life, that sometimes we need to rest and take time to think and stop firing on every single cylinder and start realizing that in order for anything else to matter, you need to matter first. If you don't put yourself first, at least for that time, and how often do we say this? The cup becomes empty and we can't function on any level because we will be too depleted to do that. And I think Joyce knows that on a very, very deep and intimate level, that if you drive yourself until there's nothing left, there's a price to pay for that. So responding with self-care and putting the to-do list aside and focusing on realizing that you matter and, you know, um, kind of like kind of a micro purposing. What's really important right now?
Oh, Shelley, I love that so much. Micro purposing, just brilliant, right? And I agree with both of you. Just, allowing yourself to rest. It seems like it's so hard for a lot of us to do that, right? Especially without guilt,
Yeah.
because like you're saying, we are taught, to be worthy, you should be productive and, always doing something. And, just stepping back from that and getting in touch with self again. And then maybe you're going to find some small thing, that feels worthwhile or aligns with you. And just maybe you start taking those little steps, like you were saying, what did you say? Micro stepping, not micro dosing.
Micro purpose.
Micro purposes, yeah.
Although who knows, right? But yeah, just taking like those small steps and working to see what aligns with you now, right? And slowly, building up from there.
We can talk about it here as an identity shift and things like that. But a big part of that is establishing your boundaries, because you can't do any of this if you are being receptive to everything and trying to be everything for everyone. You do need to find your identity, and then you need to put boundaries around that identity to protect it. And even in the experiment, I think um, you need to put some boundaries on that. What will you try and what will you not try? What will you say yes to? What will you not? And it's okay to have, it's almost like terms of engagement, right? Like these are my rules. I will allow these things. I will not allow these things. And something that I think is confusing for people is boundaries are your own.
Live by it. Be the CEO of yourself, right? So let's audit this. When we see a CEO, what do they do? What do you really mean by being a CEO of your life? So CEO, they evaluate the return of investment, the ROI, right? They eliminate all the gaps, the waste, um, the risk, and they have strategic growth. When you're being a CEO, what are you doing to yourself? What are you showing up as, right? Are you really being the CEO? Are you really looking into the ROI of your self? Are you getting that investment they're putting? You're getting that return. Are you strategically building yourself? Are you eliminating all those wastes, all those gaps, that the challenges that you have faced, and you're ignoring that. Meaning, are you letting go? Are you creating those boundaries? CEOs are great in creating boundaries, right? Um, and that would help you regulate your emotional state, your cognitive, and other relational resources as well. At that point, I would say, um, if you are just say you're if you're meeting, like when you're CEO, you're going in a meeting, that has to have a purpose. That has to have an end with the with a purpose, right? But when you're doing that relationship, that meeting, even with yourself, what are you getting out of it? Are you going with a purpose when you're in that meeting, even with yourself? Most of the time, no. We don't even think like that. So in my program, I actually lead my clients and help them understand what does really mean and how powerful you can be. So being a CEO, how beautiful, how empowered you feel um, to show up for yourself, right? Being intentional is so important. When you're CEO, you are being intentional every step you're taking. So every yes is your investment, and every no is your protection, I would say.
I like to tap in the moment, um, and maybe I have some broad parameters about what my boundaries are, but in the moment, does this feel right? Do I want to do it? Do I want to go to this party? Do I want to, help this person at this time? And just allowing myself, like if it's like no, okay, I can say no. But I think again, there's all that societal pressure, that guilt, around setting up boundaries and how other people are going to feel instead of putting ourselves first.
I agree with you, Tiffany. I recently did that. My daughter said, "Mom, can you take me to work?" And I'm like, "No." And she wasn't happy about it. But like, I just wanted to rest. I didn't want to get up, that early in the morning and take her to work. It's like, no, you can take the bus, or get your license and a car. That's your choice. Um, so saying that felt really good, and testing it tells me that I can do it. I can say no to my daughter, and she's perfectly capable of taking the bus. So um, that felt good, being able to do that. At the same time, I can say like I did today, "Yeah, I'll take you to work. I have some things to do from my perspective, and I wanna be out and about to do that." So, um, setting the boundaries based on, what I want to do that day or how I feel I want to be, is absolutely an amazing, amazing feeling, and it can be done, right? I'm a people pleaser by nature, and I love pleasing people, right? But I'm gonna please myself first.
Yeah.
Doris all of you taught me that, but Doris in particular keeps reminding me about it, and I love it.
Yeah. And you know what I found too is by setting the boundaries, by setting my boundaries, I respect myself more, but others actually respect me more and treat me better when I actually put up boundaries. So before I had that people pleasing mentality where it's like, oh my God, if I don't do this, what if this person doesn't like me? And not even necessarily consciously, right? I don't think, but there was that element there, right? And then I started setting the boundaries, and my gosh, people started treating me a lot better.
Absolutely. And so many of us, when we're younger, we um don't live in a life that allows us to have boundaries because, maybe it's because we're being raised as women and we were expected to please others before ourselves because that was the time that we maybe were raised in, to please others, to take care of others, and to always, that was the maternal role. And you know, it was a really big surprise to me that exactly what Tiffany said when she said, when people see me treating myself with respect, they treat me with respect. And that's the key piece. We become role models for those around us. I treat myself with respect, and I expect you to treat me with respect. The hardest part about that, though, is if you're making a change. Because if you're halfway through and you have, you know, a community of people in your life who've been accustomed to you maybe they call you at 2 o'clock in the morning when they're upset. Well, that worked okay when I was 25. It doesn't work now. You call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to be a happy camper.
Yeah.
So, you know, changing the way that we relate to other people and setting those boundaries, that can be hard. And sometimes we end up sacrificing, friendships along the way because of it, because we realize that, the boundaries that we didn't put in place weren't boundaries that were going to be, you know, when we did put them in place, they weren't going to be respected. And we want to be respected because that's part of what keeps us whole.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. So often people will ask me, well, you know, I don't know how to do that because I always did this for them. But you don't have to always do this for them. This also becomes your choice. And if the relationship is strong enough and they're able to understand it, then they will accept it.
And it's important to also voice your boundaries because people aren't going to just know that those are your boundaries. Every single one of us have different ranges for everything of what we will accept and not accept, right? So for one of us, we may or may not accept at a much shorter range than someone else. And that's okay, but it's hard for other people to know unless we voice that. And then it's dealing with that. And I know that's scary. That is very scary to voice that. But you need to respect yourself in those boundaries and you need to voice it because people generally, in my opinion, aren't trying to hurt us. They just don't know that they're hurting us.
Yeah. And when we allow people to cross our boundaries and then become angry or resentful, but we fail to say something, you have to sit back and realize, well, I didn't actually say, no, it is not okay that you show up in the middle of dinner um, every night. That's not going to work for me. I don't have any food prepared for you, and this is my family time, or whatever the piece may be for you that you need to have met. It is our responsibility to set the boundaries, and the people that love us and respect us will respect us more for doing so.
I agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people pleasing part of those boundaries, that's the hard part too, because there's a fear. We don't want to say it out loud. Because if we say it out loud, maybe they won't like us anymore. And guess what? It's okay. It's okay for people not to like you anymore.
Over again.
Yeah.
What becomes possible when the person who's sitting with us today is no longer organizing her life around being liked?
I think I'm getting goosebumps even thinking of it. Uh, it is so powerful. You bring so much strength and so much empowerment to yourself. That taste of freedom is that needs to be felt. I would I would suggest if you're listening to us today, show up being who you really are. I know it's difficult. You haven't done that yet. Take a small step, just one small thing, and see how that changes. Because when you're coming out of that comfort zone, you're also teaching your brain, your neurological path, a different pattern. And that you will rewire your brain, and then that will help you take the next step. And that's how you're going to build. You won't be able to the full bridge at once. But brick by brick, you can build that bridge. And I would invite you to do that, to feel that empowered, the purpose, the fulfillment, that being yourself, that you will never regret.
Yeah. But I love what you said, and also what Doris was saying, 'cause I had something happen recently where, like, a friend of mine, texts me often after 11, and I find it super super irritating, and I'm just thinking, like, and of course, my story is this person's disrespecting me, blah, de blah, blah. So, I actually decided to clear the air, set that boundary and say, "Hey, look, after 9, I'm not gonna be answering texts." And what he clarified was, "Oh my god," he goes, "You know what? I'm so sorry." He goes, "That's just my time. That's because I work and I've got my family." It's like, this is just my time when I have free time to text and stuff." And he goes, I wasn't my intent was, not to disrespect you at all." So that was great. So it brought some clarity to the situation, but also he's gonna respect my boundary going forward, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes people don't know what your boundaries are, right? And their
Yeah.
boundaries are different. And I haven't
Yeah, your
I
boundaries
do
are
that.
different.
It's like I thought of something, boom, 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 boom. I don't expect you to send me a text back right away.
Yeah.
But whenever you're gonna look at it, whenever your time is, you're gonna see it, and I'm not gonna forget about it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And that's fair. I just found it kind of irritating. So I just voiced that, and then we both, were able to come to an understanding about it, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not knowing what your boundaries are, it's funny because it kind of comes up, it'll just kind of land in your face. So very suddenly something will happen, and you'll feel that, ooh, I didn't like that. That bothered me.
So true.
And, what is it that I'm irritated with this person? Why am I irritated? Uh, you know, someone in my life recently getting a hold of me has been trying to get a hold of me and say, I want to come and drop this off for you and have coffee. And um, there's been a kind of a lot going on in my personal life in the last little while. And I'm just not in a place to kind of go for coffee or have coffee. I'm trying to sort out some things. And it's like, well, I'll let you know when I'm open. And then the message comes again, are you open yet? I need to come by and have coffee because I have something for you. And then I start to become irritated because I already stated where I was at and I need this particular space at this particular time. So no, I'm not open for coffee, even though you really want to have a coffee. And it's such a small thing, right? So, even sometimes when you set the boundary politely, it's difficult for them to hear you because they don't understand that it's a boundary. And, on the other end, they may be making assumptions about whether or not you like them or not, or all kinds of things. But
Yeah.
that's about them, not about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I say, I will let you know when when we can do this, I will.
Noted.
Yeah. All right. We are going to switch gears. This next part is just for fun. And honestly, it usually shows more about how we think than anything else. We're going to play Taboo. So if you're watching, try guessing the word along with us in the comments before we say it. The rules are that I will send an individual coach a word that they will describe for us, and we will try to guess. The tricky part is that there will also be forbidden words that cannot be used in the description. Are you ready, coaches?
Yes. Oh, come on. There's too many taboo words. Okay. Um, oh, come. Okay, I'm in my bed. My eyes are closed and just.
You're dreaming.
Did you say?
You're dreaming.
Yes. Woo!
See, it wasn't as hard as you thought.
Oh, it wasn't. It was like,
This.
you can't say sleep, you can't say night, you can't say subconscious. Anyway, we did it. Yay. Okay. Good.
Okay. It's something we chuck in the air.
A ball? A balloon?
It's usually made of something that we write on,
Paper? Paper ball. A
and
paper plane. No.
no, and it's usually like
A kite?
blue and pink and white,
Kite? No.
and it's round usually.
Beach ball.
What's that?
Beach ball.
No, it's very small.
And we chuck it in the
And
air?
We
Hacky sack.
chuck it in the air at celebrations.
Oh, confetti?
Confetti.
Yes, sorry, I shouldn't have said
Oh,
celebration.
you said the
That.
forbidden word. Yeah. Celebration. Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm looking
we
at
got-
party. I can't say party. Yeah, I missed the celebration
Can't,
part.
yeah, there's a lot. You can't say party. You can't say paper, celebration, colorful, throw.
Yeah.
But I could say the colors, and I could say
So
chuck.
you're confetti, right?
Yeah.
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 Like confetti.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job. We got it eventually. Yeah. That was tricky.
It was.
Gave you a hard one.
All right. Puffy.
Cloud? Pillsbury Doughboy.
I could put my head there at night.
Hello.
Oh, you said head. That was a forbidden word.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no, I cheated. I'm sorry. I missed it.
I did
Okay.
too.
But I
So
love
don't
the
worry about it.
charades that
Okay.
came along with it. That was good. All right. Okay. This is something that is used for fitness.
Math.
And sorry?
Math?
No.
No.
We've talked about there's something that you would do with this that we've talked about as using for relieving stress. Shelley likes to do it in the forest, but you could do it on this piece of equipment.
Earthing? No.
Biking?
Walking?
Yes, but you could do it on this piece of equipment.
A cycling machine?
No, not
A
cycling.
treadmill.
Treadmill.
Yes.
Ah, yes.
Thank you. Yeah, no run, gym, walk, exercise belt.
I know. It makes it super challenging, but it's good.
I knew when
That
you
was
said
fun.
Shelley likes to do it, it's either bike riding, kayaking, or walking. One of the two. One of the three.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. That was so much fun. Thank you for being here with us today. So if you realize today that you've been carrying more than your share, not because you have to, but because you always have, that's an important moment of clarity. So something to think about for sure. If you're ready for support that helps you thrive as your version of a better you, looking for that identity shift and a little bit of extra help on that, then the easiest place to start is our quiz. It helps match you with the kind of support that fits you best. Coaches, what a great discussion. Thank you so much. And for all of you, remember, you matter. So please take care. Oh, hey, thanks for watching. Since you watched this video, we thought you might really like this video. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe right there for more great videos. Plus, tap that notification bell so that you don't miss any videos at all. Comment your thoughts below and see you next time.